Hey everybody, it's Unasur Nighttime. So I just finished Resident Evil Requiem, which is Capcom's latest expansion of the Resident Evil franchise, and it really feels like the culmination of 30 years of Resident Evil. There's many callbacks throughout, and the fact that they added both first and third person perspectives, that it's so easy to switch between them should really appeal to fans of the franchise. In case you're unaware, the game follows protagonist Grace Ashcroft, who is an FBI technical analyst, investigating a mysterious series of deaths tied to Raccoon City survivors. Her investigation leads her to the dangerous Wrenwood Hotel, which is where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, a protagonist of Resident Evil Outbreak, was murdered years ago. Her investigation will also lead her to the ruins of Raccoon City, the site of the original Outbreak. The game also follows the renowned GOAT Leon S. Kennedy, who is infected with a strain of the T-virus and is racing to find a cure. Now the game is solid, but there's also some major flaws that some people aren't really talking about, so if you're thinking about buying the game, here's what's in store for you. The positives are there's phenomenal voice acting throughout. The protagonist that voices Grace, I believe her voice actress's name is Angela San Albano, forgive me for mispronouncing that, is phenomenal. There's also great graphics and sound design, some of the best in the series. The game performed very well on PS5, which is the platform I played it on. There was very little to no bugs or frame drops. And it also blended perspectives well, and the freedom to play either really can't be understated. I think the whole introductory segment at the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center is great survival horror and has great tension and is definitely the climax of the game. Now some negatives I would say are that this game has some of the poorest and unoriginal bosses in the whole entire franchise. I would also say that some of the callbacks feel very fan servicey and aren't done with much grace. Excuse the pun. I think the later half of the game also has some poor pacing and tonal decisions. I think there's some lackluster story beats. And I think the puzzles are pretty simple and unengaging. I would give the game a 7 out of 10. I think if you like survival horror such as what's present in RE7 and RE2 remake, that you're going to be eating good with this one. But I think if you're a fan of the more action-oriented RE4, RE6, and RE8, I think it's serviceable, but I think it's lacking in some areas. With that being said, we're going to get more in-depth with all my thoughts. Consider this a spoiler warning. Everything from here onwards is going to be talked about in detail from the game. This was more introductory, summarized knowledge, but now we're going to be getting into the meat and potatoes. The first third of the game is at the Rhodes Hill Care Center, and like I said, this is definitely the climax of the game. The care clinic is dripping with atmosphere. From patient rooms to doctor's offices to tiled floor parlors, it's visually diverse and fun to explore. Similar to the RPD, it has a dual staircase lobby and east and west wings. A big thing that gives the care center personality are the zombies. The infected here retain their memories from when they were alive and are even able to say simple sentences or wield weapons, similar to the RE4 Ganados. It makes you believe that this was once a working care center, and it's even funny at times.
That's bullshit.
Some examples are the chef from the kitchen still chopping up food, a maid desperately trying to clean up a mess, and most iconically, the singer that continues to perform on the balcony. They can also affect your gameplay. For example, there was a zombie that wants the lights off, so if you turn on a nearby light switch, he'll move to it and attempt to turn it off, allowing you to clear the hallway and sneak past him. During your time there, you meet a young blind girl named Emily, who you work on trying to save and escape with. You later find out she was experimented on, which is a shocker. Their dynamic is cute, but I don't feel like it had any depth other than helping a kid in a bad situation and trauma bonding. Because Grace even lets a shady helicopter pilot watch after her later on, like what the fuck?
If you get the key, I'll keep her safe. I promise.
It's a deal.
I liked Grace, but I also felt like her character was pretty one-note with being a nervous wreck. I get that she's an analyst, but she's still an FBI agent and they vet you pretty hard. It's not like Ethan, who's literally just some dude on a mission to save his wife and kid. To escape the care center, you work on getting these cubes, which are used to unlock the front door. You get them by completing different key cards and puzzles as usual. Though I will say the puzzles on this game are on the weaker side and are honestly just brain dead. They aren't difficult to figure out, and oftentimes the solution is literally right in the same room or the one next to the clue. Even the safes don't let you problem solve, and you just find notes that sort of give you the save code and location. I didn't mind it when I was playing, but looking back it felt pretty lazy. Grace is also able to craft items using scrap and something called a blood collector. This lets her suck up blood from environments or enemies you've killed. You're able to somehow craft ammo, knives, and my favorite, the hemolytic injector, which basically allows you to do stealth takedowns, permanently kill down zombies which prevents them from getting infected later on, as well as kill the roaming stalker mini-bosses. I played on normal standard my first run, and I tried to collect every pool of blood I could, and trust me, you could really trivialize the infected here with the amount of materials you get. I do like the system though, because it rewards you for engaging with the enemies and killing them. Speaking of blood, there's lots of it. This is easily the bloodiest Resident Evil's ever been, and it's awesome. When you shoot zombies, blood splatters on the surroundings, there's pools of blood everywhere, even notes talking about how blood holds memories.
Here, the old blood.
I thought the basement section with the light plugs was pretty fun, and the backtracking was well done with some great jump scares. It essentially allows you to make makeshift safe zones because the girl is damaged by light, as shown in the tutorial. There's also a mini prison down there which adds to the dark atmosphere. One notable set piece was the conveyor belt. Though easy, it was still fun and felt like it came from Evil Within. Afterwards, you fight the girl in a simple puzzle fight, which is meant to open up the hatch that lets enough light in to kill her. And oh yeah, remember Emily, the sweet little blind girl that Grace is hell-bent on saving? Well, she ends up transforming to some grotesque monster, and then Leon shoots the shit out of her. It's crazy. Right in front of Grace too.
I didn't hit any of her vitals.
Now to Leon's section of the game, and as you can tell from the introduction, I'm less high on it. I feel like this is where a lot of the flaws come in, but I still think there's a lot to like. So we're immediately back to the care center, which is awesome, but I wish you got more time here. By the time I was Leon, I had already killed most of the enemies with Grace, and I understand they want playthroughs to feel intertwined, but man, it felt really weird and anticlimactic roaming empty halls. Killing enemies as Leon is also promoted because it grants you CP, which you can use to buy weapons, items, and upgrades. There's a segment afterwards where you protect Grace with a sniper rifle, and then enter an inflamed church with a Blisterborn. That being said, these enemies are so fun to fight. It's a simple design but threatening, and the satisfaction of shooting and popping the giant spores on them is chef's kiss. I like the fact that the other zombies in the Bloodsport area end up turning into blister heads, whom I haven't really spoke about yet, but man, they're tough. They have a sick design, and they move and sound like rabid dogs. Afterwards, you pass the old RE2 gas station and head into Raccoon City. So they give you a block to explore, which is semi-open world. It reminded me of Days Gone or Day 1 from The Last of Us Part 2 in Seattle. There are zombies roaming the dilapidated streets and in dark parking garages. Rumor has it that RE9 was meant to be an open world multiplayer game, so it makes sense that they kinda had a section like this. The main objective is a fetch quest to gather detonation parts to blow open a gate, and it's cool at first, but man, this is where the game slows down so much. The remnants of Raccoon City was such a beige eyesore, and the level design wasn't that exciting either. I understand it was the bomb part of the city, but it could have used some different environments, and it should have had its explore sections missed in Resident Evil 3, such as the clock tower. There is one really cool segment where you climb a collapsed skyscraper, and then you're able to shoot the glass floors to send the infected falling to their deaths. It's so satisfying and was a welcome environmental set piece. Also, remember how much I praised the care clinic for introducing zombies with personalities? Here they throw all that out the window and give us these grey normal boring ones, and they just give them different weapons like melee tools or later on armor and machine guns. I also feel like it would have been cool if there was a faction or cult living in Raccoon City post-bombing instead of just BSAA members trying to get in. Could have had a apocalyptical Mad Max kind of vibe. A negative in this game are the weapons. They're bland, given in an uninteresting way, such as finding them or literally just buying them from the store. To me, the Requiem pistol was the only standout gun that looked and felt sick. Upgrading them looks straight out of the COD Gunsmith too, but there's no final upgrade I noticed. Previous Resident Evil games had it, so when you fully upgraded a weapon, there'd be an exclusive upgrade that would be some kind of cracked out upgrade essentially. And not having that here hurts replayability, and I don't get why they'd remove that. It was something to grind for. You also aren't able to store them in a box, and get this, since there's no New Game Plus currently, at the end of Leon's segment you lose all your weapons and their upgrade progress. It's stupid. Animations feel great though. They somehow made reloading a riot gun feel satisfying. The only miss in my opinion was meleeing with the axe. It feels clunky and sluggish. I do like the idea of tying parries to it instead of breakable knives though. There are bonus weapons that you can get after completing the game that admittedly I haven't played around all too much with. The mini musket seems fun and Freya's needle seems great with infinite ammo. After getting the detonation parts, there's this really sick cinematic over the top motorcycle section where Leon literally drives up a skyscraper. It was hype. I do wish that the motorcycle was used kind of in the open world aspect for traversal, but I'm very happy with this. I also wish that those Cerberus dogs made an appearance somewhere during the open world too to spice up enemy variety.
It's on you now.
Now we arrive at the RPD, and this is when I believe the game starts falling off narratively. Don't get me wrong, I love the plethora of Easter eggs they included here. Stars references, tofu, and cut content. It's a bit over the top in the best way. If there was supposed to be an area for nostalgia, this is the place. It's a love letter to fans, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. That being said, the game generally feels like manufactured nostalgia. For example, the random chainsaw doctor at the start of Rhodes Hill didn't fit in, and it felt like something just to show off the chainsaw mechanic changes since Resident Evil 4. It also threw me off that the Welcome Leon sign randomly appeared unscathed in the main lobby after the entire city got bombed. They shove things in your face throughout the entire game, but it really shows from this stage on. Zeno, a clone of Wesker, which by the way has no lore to him or no motivations really except getting stronger, ends up sending a tyrant after you.
Sorry, but I don't have time to spare. Have fun.
And it feels less like a meaningful callback and more like a hey, remember these iconic enemies? Here they are. It's not really earned. The tyrant then tries to hit you with a helicopter blade and a short chase sequence ensues before the boss fight, which was okay. It's a really boring arena in a school parking lot essentially. He flipped cars like burgers and has a weak point in the chest. I think the only cool thing was that you can parry his lunge attack now, which is satisfying, and it shows Leon's growth from a rookie cop to a badass. I guess I can also discuss the game's boss fights now. Like I said, they're definitely one of the game's poorest points. They're serviceable at best and unoriginal, and unengaging at worst. Most are reused from previous Resident Evil games such as Mr. X, the Plant Monster, and the final boss which we'll get into later. The only one that was really fun in my opinion was the giant spider. It's a cool callback to the original Resident Evil and it had a proper setup. It was really cool getting chased throughout a broken down building and then using your axe to cut down webs and run away. And when the mini spiders came crawling out of every crevice, it was really sick as well. It felt like a true Resident Evil boss, and I wish the other ones had gotten similar treatment. After the tyrant fight, there's a god-awful orphanage section that completely kills the pacing. I don't get Capcom's recent obsession with having a random walking and hiding segment in their games. We're taken back in time as one of the little girls that was cloned and experimented on, and the whole segment is basically meant to show us that the Resident Evil 2 orphanage connects to an Umbrella lab, and that the kids that were used for experiments. It's a really sinister idea, but it falls flat because of the gameplay, as well as the fact that it's not surprising. It's already established that Umbrella runs the city, so they should have just made it a lore note or a cutscene instead of wasting 10 minutes of every time someone has a playthrough. Dare I say it, I also think Leon's arc was really bad as well. As I said earlier, Leon returned to Raccoon City in order to find a cure for the T-virus strain that him and Sherry have. And here Leon confronts his past traumas from the night of the outbreak. Leon is riddled with survivor's guilt and vows to make things right this time. The thing is though, we have already experienced this exact plot of Leon in Resident Evil 4. He already vowed that things can be different and to redeem himself, and he even cured himself of a Las Plagas infection that he had in that game. Not only is the plot reused, but I don't even think it's done as well in my opinion. Tonally, Resident Evil 4 is taken more serious and darker, and it's hard to believe that Leon is worried about dying when they made him spit one-liners every 2 seconds. I understand that it's a beloved part of the character, but it feels overdone. It also takes me out because we're supposed to believe Leon's trying to redeem himself and save others, but literally right at the intro of the game, he has more than enough time to save this nurse, but instead lets her get chainsawed. It's crazy. The plot doesn't move his character forward, and like I said, it's reused, and it feels like Capcom used them just for marketing. The lack of other main characters is also so strange. I'm so baffled it didn't include Claire, who was literally there the night of the outbreak, and helped Leon through his trauma that night and helped escape, and also rescued Sherry from the orphanage. She's not even referenced outside of vague angel wing motifs on the Requiem. It's just weird and such a missed opportunity.
Where is Chris anyway?
No idea.
The end of the game takes us to the ARC labs in the center of the bombed Raccoon City, where it's revealed that the US government would purchase bioweapons from it. It's also revealed that they didn't just bomb Raccoon City to prevent the spread of the outbreak, but to try to hide their shady business dealings with Umbrella. It shows the corruption of the US government in the Resident Evil verse, and I think it's an interesting plot point. The labs themselves are fine to explore from a gameplay level. Here you go through yet another lab at the end of a Resident Evil game, and switch between both Leon and Grace. There are tight corridors and rooms, and they also brought back lickers here, and I think they have a good design, and they throw a whole bunch at you, so it is a decent challenge. I think the ARC Lab was also a bit of a misused opportunity. It's supposed to be a place where bioweapons are sold, but other than the lickers and the plant boss fight just outside, none are really present here. It would have been sick to treat this place like a bioweapon zoo where there are multiple prototypes of tyrants or Cerberus dogs or other bioweapons. There's a hunk boss fight which I actually think is pretty fun. It's great seeing such a mysterious and iconic character make an appearance. I think from a gameplay side it feels a little bit like an Underbig Krauser fight. It's funny because I played on normal standard, and when Leon kills him he mentions how tough of an opponent he is, but it took me maybe T-1 minute. I heard he's a demon on insanity mode, however. You also find out the reason Grace was kidnapped and considered special, and why her mother Alyssa Ashcroft was targeted. Basically, she had an interview with Dr. Oswald Spencer, the creator of Umbrella and the antagonist of the series. And in their interview, he basically exclaims that he regrets creating bioweapons and adopted Grace as a baby before handing her to Alyssa. He paints Spencer as either regretful or sympathetic, and I think it's really fucking weird and unnecessary. It's basically an Orochimaru redemption arc that now that his company is bankrupt, he's pardoned. To the average gamer, they might say that this just touches on themes of forgiveness, but I literally just finished Resident Evil 5 before this, and in that Spencer was kinda going off.
I was to become a god. Creating a new world with an advanced race of human beings.
You then fight the final boss.
Dr. Victor Gideon. I run this center.
Dr. Victor Gideon's a pretty cool antagonist, and it sucks that he was missing for a lot of Leon's section up until the very end here. I think he had a lot of presence for the first half of the game and was a legitimate threat. He's part of the Connections, which is a secret organization. He ran the care clinic, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because imagine pulling up to work and you see this guy as your boss. I think he loses some aura later on when you do the motorcycle chase and when he argues with Zeno. The first half of the fight, he's basically Doc Ock. He grows tentacles and utilizes lightning attacks, charges, and leaps. Visually, the purplish lightning looks amazing, but the second phase is what's so irredeemable. It turns out the Doctor is a nemesis, so you end up fighting a fleshy wall version of it, which is the exact same final boss in Resident Evil 3 Remake. It's so lazy, man. I remember when Shadow of the Erdtree ended with another Radon fight, I was already so pissed and I hated it from a lower perspective. But at least that fight feels different. This is just literally straight up copy and paste. I think it would have been cooler to make Gideon some sort of mutated snake monster, considering he has snake eyes, rings, scaly coat, and a split tongue. The potential was right there. So overall, I think Resident Evil 9 is a solid entry in the franchise, but by no means is it a flawless masterpiece that a lot of people are claiming. There's many issues from gameplay to lore, and I'm currently on my third playthrough in Insanity, so we'll see if I change my mind on certain things. But I imagine as the hype dies down, people will be more objective about it. Resident Evil 9 is a game that's trying to do a lot. I like the inclusion of both survival horror and action horror in Grace and Leon sections. Though I will say, if you're a fan of one and can't stand the other, I'd probably skip this entry or maybe wait for a sale. The game is truly evenly split between the both, and you'd have to force yourself to play a number of hours before you get to the part you enjoy. It would have really benefited having separate campaigns. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts? Are you enjoying the game? Am I being too harsh? I feel like a lot of this section was pretty negative. Let me know down below, and thank you guys for watching.